Hello people of the earth and welcome back to QuickSave TV. This is QuickSave Daily and today we're going to talk a little bit about violence in video games. Whether it is inappropriate and absolutely horrible and should be removed as such, or it is actually enhancing gameplay experience in several ways. Now, this is inspired heavily by the article written on Kotaku, and I thought, like, why don't I talk a little bit about that? For as far as we remember gaming, the video games as such, for many years now we had many people who argued in favor of the idea that games promote violent behavior in society, that kids who play violent games grow up in murderers, or they actually kill their peers or hurt them, or become violent and aggressive people. An interesting argument. It even came to the point that sometimes in the court, the lawyer, or how do you call it, attorney, someone who protects the person, he would actually put it as an argument saying that, oh, this kid was actually not doing it on his own accord. He was influenced by violent games such as Grand Theft Auto. His sin in the game, as the guy was beating someone with a police baton or a baseball bat, and he decided to do the same. What kind of logic is that? So, according to you, if I see a game, if I see any kind of medium in which I even remotely participate, right? Say video games. Their argument is that in video games you control it, whereas in movies you just observe. I think a movie can be just as influential if it comes to this, but you know, it never happened. In books, some books, I actually have a book in my closet called Warhammer Mark of Chaos. That's probably one of the most gory and brutal books I've ever read. It describes with such a lively explanations everything, what's happening, and you kind of believe it, you know? But I don't really feel like going and killing someone in the streets, or my friends or peers. That just sounds ridiculous. And then again, in many games, gore and violence can augment experience. Like, for example, if you take games such as Manhunt, the first Manhunt back in 2003, that was one of the most scariest games I've ever played in my entire life. And it was scary because it was believable, you know? It didn't rely on scripts to scare you. Majority of the time, there was nothing scary about scripts. What was scary is the situation in which you were. You were playing as this character which was trapped within this stupid show by some crazy director who wanted to film how you kill people or getting killed yourself. And there were these different bands who were wearing different masks and they were armed, and you were trying to stealthily take them down. And in this game you could take them down less brutally or really brutally. There were 3 steps of brutality with each weapon, right? Gray one, yellow one, and red one. The more brutal you would take, the higher score you would get. Well, in this kind of game, I think brutality is appropriate because it shows what the circumstances are and what's actually happening. And this game was scaring in this way that you were afraid what's going to happen to you if they catch you. It's rather different than what modern horrors are trying to do. You know, like in the same Amnesia, it's very different and creative in its own way, I know, but it's different kind of scary than Amnesia. In Amnesia, it's mostly scripts that's trying to scare you, which is evidently from my playthrough. I've encountered several scripts. Whereas in Manhunt, it's more of the real scary thing, because you're trying to stealthily take them down, and if they catch you, they're gonna beat you up to death and wipe the floor with your brains, which is not really exciting, right? At the same time, we have more and more games that don't have violence as such, and don't really rely on violence to tell the story, but it goes from game to game, on a game-to-game basis, you know, it has nothing to do with violence being inappropriate or etc, etc. I think violence is as inappropriate as nudity, you know? I mean, someone wants to see it, let him see it. What is the problem? You know, as long as real people don't suffer, why should it be forbidden, you know? It's much better to see the violence on the screen or play in a violent video game and release your emotions into the game, outside in the room, instead of going and punching your peer, you know, if you have anger management problems. And that's one of the ways to actually manage your anger. You know, you can always like suppress your anger by releasing it on something else other than punching your peer or classmate or whatever. I just think it's more appropriate. The same about argument, you know, like you could argue the same about nudity. If I see a naked woman in a movie, I might become a rapist. What kind of logic is that? It has nothing to do with that, you know. Just seeing something doesn't make you something. It's a ridiculous excuse and a very pathetic explanation of conditions and what's actually happening in society. That was Mike with QuickSave TV. This was a QuickSave Daily. Be sure to tell me what you think in comments and stay tuned for more. So don't forget to like the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe to see more of this content. Have a greatest day and don't kill your peers. Better smash the screen of your monitor. It costs much cheaper to replace. Humans are irreplaceable, just so you know. Bye bye!